teaching human resource management at Isbat University. Let me ask you a question. Are we all biased in some way? The answer may be yes, based on the psychology. Let's take an example. Suppose you are a hiring manager in a large organization. There are two candidates for interview. Let's take James and John. James is well dressed in a formal wear and looks elegant, and John is dressed in a casual wear with a baggy pant and an unironed t-shirt. Which candidate would you love to select? Will it be James? Not so fast. Because you have fallen into a trap called cognitive bias. This particular bias is called as the halo effect. So what is a cognitive bias? Cognitive bias, which is mostly unconscious, which is also called as an unconscious bias, also called as an implicit bias, is the preferences and prejudices which we don't realize we have. These biases often comes from our background, are not apparent in your day-to-day interactions, but it will have a critical impact in our decision making. Today, we are going to discuss about 5 dangerous biases in human resource management. The first bias is confirmation bias, or we call it as blind manager bias. What is that? People tend to ignore information that does not fit with their beliefs. This is called as the confirmation bias, and it will trouble a lot of managers. Let's take an example. Suppose you hold a belief that left-handed people are more creative than the right-handed people. So whenever you meet a person who is left-handed, you think that that person is more creative, and you wanted to gather evidence that support that belief. Do you agree? Let's consider a business owner, Joy, who is a hiring manager, and he is supposed to interview. There are 2 great candidates, one man and one woman. Suppose Joy believes that men are inherently better managers than women. What will happen? Joy might find himself looking for reasons to confirm his belief, and he thinks that women cannot be a good manager. This might cause him to overlook the evidences that female candidate might actually be a better fit for the particular profile than the male manager. A research work based on USA by Marine Bertrand and Sendil Mullainathan in 2004 revealed that there are statistically significant differences in the number of callbacks each resume receives based on whether the name sounded white or African American. The gender bias has been proven by many studies to be extremely present in the recruitment process. A great example is a study found that the mothers who state that their resumes are involved in a parent-teacher association are 79% less likely to be hired. If left unchecked, the unconscious bias can have a major impact in our hiring decisions. I have told you a problem. So what can be the solution? We have some solution for this problem. First thing, identify your unconscious bias. You can use tools like implicit association test from Harvard to help you. In the 1990s, social psychologist Tony Grenwald created the implicit association test. Today, it's more commonly known as the Harvard unconscious bias test, or the Harvard IAT test. The other solution is arrange diversity training as an ongoing education for all the employees, particularly managers, recruiters, and senior leaders. Look at the candidate's skills and talents before you consider anything. You can accomplish this by requesting a sample assignment to be completed before the one-to-one interview. Always ask the sample questions in the same order for every candidates. Consider using a wide scoring system for the questions and compare candidates objectively based on the scores. The next solution is put a diverse hiring team in place. Make sure you have a wide range of people being represented, including multiple ages, genders, sexual orientation, cultures, personalities, background, and talents. Interesting? The next bias we are going to discuss is the office politics bias, or we call it as in-group bias. What is the in-group bias? The in-group bias is our tendency to favor one social group more than the other group. Studies show that, in general, people extend greater trust, positive regards, cooperation, and empathy to in-group members compared with out-group members. The in-group bias discourages in-group contact, perpetuates negative stereotypes, and link to prejudice and discrimination. Let me tell you a typical example. Suppose you are in a school and you are going to the cafeteria and they are saying that only seniors are allowed to sit in a particular place. That's an example of in-group bias. In-group bias is one of the most common influence in recruitment decisions. It's also called as a beer test. What is a beer test? The beer test is evaluating candidates on the basis of whether you would like to get a beer with them. And not looking at the work-related credentials, but based on other factors. This comes from the human's innate tendency to like people who are similar to themselves and dislike people who are dissimilar to themselves and form a group based on this factor. This bias allows people to have a tendency to view their group more trustworthy, more superior compared to the other groups, and they see other groups as outsiders and inferior to them. Do you think this is a recipe for disaster? Human resource should tear down silos, build relationship, emphasize company-wide cultures, and make their organization feel like one big group rather than a collection of opposing teams. I have told you a problem. So what is the solution for this problem? The first solution: understand your organization. To move ahead in any organization, you must understand the structure, the position, the contentious issues, the goals, and the future. Learn who are the influencers and the priorities of the organization. Knowing this will help you to distinguish the most important people to cultivate, and also the correct way to respond in the best interest of you and the organization. To do this, ask yourself questions like: who are the real influencers? Who has the authority to take decisions? Who are respected? Who are all the champions or mentors? Who are all the brain behind the businesses? The next solution: neutralize negative politics. You can help to make your workplace become more positive by not fueling the fire and joining the negative politics. For example, avoid passing on rumors without taking time to carefully consider the source, the credibility, and the impact. Don't rely on confidentiality. It is safer to assume that whatever you say will be repeated. So choose carefully what secrets you reveal. Remain professional at all times. Don't take sides and don't get into arguments. When a conflict arises, remember that there need not be a winner or a loser. It's often possible to find a solution that satisfies everyone. The next solution: offer training. Educating and informing managers and employees alike is another way to help avoid favoritism and discrimination in the workplace. offer a training session. What is favoritism? What is discrimination? And why it is detrimental in overall growth of the organization? If your employees are clear what to look for, they will be more likely to report if they see a problem. The next bias we are going to discuss is the bad performance review bias, or we call it as recency bias. This is an unconscious bias since it is a part of the problem and can be attributed to the memory and the mind that makes associations. And it is a very dangerous bias. Very simple. The recency bias can make or break a performance review. This bias refers to a tendency to remember only the recent events. This means if things have been tough for the past 1 month, which for example you are doing a review as a manager, you would tend to forget whatever happened for the past 11 months and focus only on the 1 month. The opposite is true as well. If the employee is performing very well for past 1 month and not performing for the past 11 months, we tend to ignore those facts and concentrate on the 1 month. Our ability to recall an employee performance has a major impact on the results. So, how do you remember employees' performance throughout the year is very important. What is the reason behind all this aspect? It is forgetfulness. The forgetfulness can actually lead an employee to overvalue or undervalue his or her work. This is especially demotivating the employees who show improvement later in the year but continue to be rated based on their previous performances. So, what is the solution to overcome this bias? First aspect is, it is important to document performance at different points in time throughout the time period. For example, somebody completed a project in 3 months. Great. Send their peers a request for feedback so that you can get some data how well they did. Did someone did an internal training? Awesome. Request feedback from the instructor about their participation. This way, at the end of the year, you may have frequent data points throughout the period to get the overall picture of the performance. The next solution, ditch the annual review. It is much easier for people to recall the performance of an employee over the course of 3 months than over a year. Consider implementing quarterly or biannual reviews that doesn't take much time. The technology also can help. There are few technologies like Engagely or iFile that can help you to set up reviews quickly and more frequently. Most of these tools have features that can help you in tracking performance, feedbacks, and private notes. Using HR technologies can counterbalance the recency-based perceptions many managers carry into performance reviews. So keep up to date on new product development. Build a constantly evolving portfolio of software, tools, and procedures to increase the fairness of the process. The next bias we are going to discuss is the resistant to change bias, or we call it as system justification bias. This is one of the most dangerous bias HR is facing. The bias encourages employees to defend and prefer the same status quo no matter the facts. While there is a misconception that change only affects the low-level employees, this is not the case. The changes affects everyone in an organization, from maintenance to upper management. Additionally, resistance has nothing to do with intelligence. Not even the smartest among us are not immune to scenarios of impending the changes. So I have told you a problem. I will tell you a solution. How to identify resistance to change? The resistance to change can manifest itself in several different ways. It can come in the form of missed deadlines, failed commitments, being absent from meeting, and general sense of apathy, indicating signs that employees are not invested in the organization. The resistance to change also presents itself in more obvious ways. When change is occurring, pay attention to the employee's general mood, whether there is more gossip than usual, or whether they are responding positively, or they are sarcastic. See the reactions. In some cases, there may be individuals elected by the employees to speak out against the change. This may be in the form of an official union or just collection of individuals who share the same feelings towards the change and see that there is power in numbers. Next solution. Listen first, talk second. The first strategy to overcome resistance to change is to communicate. And communication is the key, you already know. Try letting your employees initiate the conversation. People want to be heard. Giving them the chance to voice their opinions will help alleviate the frustration they feel over the situation. The next solution, get excited. How you communicate the change has a huge impact in how much resistance you will face. If you wholeheartedly communicate the reason for the change, your conviction will be contagious. Any hesitancy will not be there. The next solution is about making it all about employee. Change is only possible if the human resources are on board. So make sure the changes are approached in terms of the employee. If you are implementing a new software, for example, plan your project through the lens of user adaptation rather than focusing on the technology. It's not about what the technology can do. It's about what the user can do with the help of the new technology. The next solution, delegate change. A great strategy to overcome resistance is fight resistance with culture. Train the team members who are natural leaders first. They will serve as a role model and influencer for the rest of the employees. This has the ripple effect. Next one, show them the data. While the resistance to change is usually emotional rather than logical, it will be helpful to show some hard facts as a supplementary strategy. Let employees see the data for themselves. This is a great way to show transparency and demonstrate the need for improvement. Implement in stages. Whether digital or any other kind of transformation can just happen overnight. There should be proper preparation leading up to the change with plenty of advance warning and participation at employees at all levels. This will encourage people to change more gradually. You can also practice change management exercises for resistance to change. Simple exercises like folding your arms in different way or bouncing balls from one another will demonstrate that changes are not threatening. It's a bit of fun and non-threatening. The point of the exercise is to show that change may be uncomfortable at first, but it can become natural in a matter of time. The last bias you're going to see is very interesting, which is the halo effect or the poor hire bias. The human mind is primed to focus on a single attribute that stands out. If the attribute is positive, researchers have found that it will have a huge impact on the other attributes. This is called as halo effect. I told you an example of dresses. For example, we discussed that there are two people, John and James, and I ask you a question, whom would you select and based on their dresses? This is halo effect in action. Let's approach this halo effect in the terms of recruitment. HR staff can unknowingly influence the recruitment process if they are not aware of their own biases. They will make the workplace less diverse and lose some great talent. It will ultimately be less productive workplace and decrease the company's success. Let's take two candidates for a job. Their first candidate, let's take X, and second Y. X come up with great recommendations and references, and Y doesn't have such recommendations. What happens is, you tend to feel that X is a good candidate based on the recommendations, and the halo effect comes in action. And you reject Y because he doesn't have good recommendations, although he may be talented. I'll tell you a typical example. If you find a candidate who's similar to you, who's dressed up similar to you or looks like you, you will automatically like him or her. You will not think whether this person is a good person for the company or he's a right fit for the company. What happens is you only think of yourself and attribute to the other person. For example, if the candidate is overly enthusiastic, you might assume that he or she is excellent. If someone is friendly, for example, you think that he or she may be good at teamwork. The next aspect, the halo effect comes in effect is the assignments. For example, when an employee performs well in one task assigned to him or her, we may assume he or she may perform the same task in the same way. This is a potential problem. For example, let's take an IT expert. He may have avoided a catastrophic network crash. This does not mean he can do a task for a high-profile trade show. These are two different functions which needs two different skill sets. This halo effect may also affect the work habit. He or she may turn up late, miss the deadline, or underperform. The next aspect, the halo effect, will have an impact is the performance review. This is the arena where halo effect can have a huge effect. For example, a small business owner may view an employee favorably or overinflates a review or have a compensatory reward based on only one factor. The next solution for halo effect is promotions. How do the promotions happen? Promotions are based on positive performance review. For example, it's natural for small business owners to surround themselves with like-minded people who share their goals, work habits, and values. Even the people they enjoy being with. But promotions in span with halo effect can have a disastrous impact. The promotion can carry more longevity and have an effect which is long lasting. If the halo effect makes you to think that co-workers are perfect angels, the horn effects make you think that they are perfect devils. The horn effect means the tendency to see a single negative impact and which will have an overall impact on the opinion of the employee. And the one bad attribute will spoil everything. I'll tell you an example of an horn effect. Suppose there is an employee X who comes late to an office. That is the only negative trait of the employee. You may feel he may be inefficient based on only that one negative trait. That is the horn effect in action. So the horn effect and the halo effect both have disastrous impact in recruitment and selection as well as appraisals. Let's move to a solution. Create a diverse recruitment team. To avoid the halo effect entering into the recruitment process, you should make sure different people handle different levels of the selection process. For example, if you handle the resume prospect screening, your teammates can handle the interview section. After getting all the data, your team must ensure that the data is based on the selection and opinion of the whole team and not based on any kind of bias. This will lead to unbiased candidate selection. Next, the interviewing structure. Structure the interview so that the interviewer doesn't overtly influence with the first impression. Make sure each step of the interview focuses on the job, analyze the candidate at each step. The next solution is the interview design. There is a method called STAR method. S stands for situation, T stands for task, A stands for action, R stands for result. So when the interview process is on, you ask the candidate to describe a situation they are involved in, the task they are responsible for, the action they took, and the result they yielded. This is the STAR method in action. To learn more about the world of human resource management, join human resource management courses at ISBAT University to become a better leader and to climb the ladder of corporate positions and succeed in your career. Thank you.